So I need to make two corrections from my previous video. First correction being, okay, the Cold War technically ended in '91. My bad. Second correction. I claim that Von Helden hated himself. I'm going to go ahead and take that one back, because I believe I misspoke. Von Helden does not hate himself. Sure, he hates his mother. He hates society. He hates liberals and Muslims and atheists. But he absolutely loves himself. So, mea culpa. Now, that being said, if you've ever watched his videos, people have picked up on that there are numerous phrases and terminologies that always find their way in them. One of the most prevalent being that you can't spin this. It's something that he typically puts into his I was right videos. And shockingly enough, he's right. You can't spin it, because he's already spun it. Whenever he reports on something, he'll always throw in these little addendums and caveats to support an innocuous claim. They can send a quantum computer back in time by a fraction of a second, therefore God. You can't spin that, because he has already spun it to fucking ludicrous speed. Keep that one in mind. The other two terms that I find disturbing that he constantly uses is the term terrorist and the term traitor. I find it disturbing because, as I said previously, I'm willing to bet that he wants to invoke a reaction that would end violently. Because I have no doubt that there are people of a likewise mentality who are just as mentally unstable and just as obsessed with conspiracies that follow him as he is. And if they hear the term terrorist or traitor, it might trigger them to do something terrible. I'm starting to think that's what he wants. He wants something to happen in America like what happened in New Zealand. He wants some fucking crazy son of a bitch to go into a mosque and murder people because he hates Muslims. Given the chance, he would support someone shooting up an atheist convention because he hates atheists. He would support someone going to a Democratic convention and driving a truck through it because he hates liberals. Like I said, he's a man driven by hatred. He hates the world around him because he's no longer part of it. All he does is sit in front of his computer and play make-believe. That's why whenever he reports on anything regarding CERN, he has to equivocate it to video games. CERN's going to open a portal to hell like they did in Doom. CERN is going to start building synths like they have in Fallout. He has to make that association because that is the reality he lives in. The reality that he lives in is completely and 100% artificial. And yeah, I get it. I love playing me some video games too, but eventually I have to turn them off and I gotta go to work. Or I have to turn them off and I gotta clean the house. Or I gotta turn them off and I gotta fucking cook dinner. I can't spend 8 hours in front of my computer or 8 hours in front of my Xbox. Because life has its priorities. And those ain't them. Video games are a luxury. The internet is a luxury. It's something that we get to play around with when we're not working. Granted, he has all the time in the world to play around on the internet and play video games because motherfucker doesn't have a goddamn job. I don't understand that. I do not understand how you can refuse to give anything back to society. How you can refuse to not have a job. How you can refuse to not raise your children. How you can refuse to contribute anything. But you want to sit on your computer and constantly e-beg and tell people that you deserve their money because of all these great things that you've done. And honestly, it's nothing new. He's been doing this shit for fucking years. Speaking of which, if you go back and watch his old videos, not even old videos, like videos from 3 years ago, sure, he looks rough. He looks like a guy that, yeah, he looks like an old toothless dude that lives in Kentucky. But at least he still looked human. God damn, dude, like, what the fuck happened to you? You look fucking awful. You look just greasy and pasty, like you have not been outside in a month. And what is with the eyes that you make when you eat? They look like you're about to pop out your fucking skull. That and he's cockeyed. I love that shit. I love when his eyes go sideways. You can tell he's getting fired up. But legit, like, it looks like somebody set his face on fire and beat it out with a sock full of nickels. He looks like the fucking Sarlacc pit from Return of the Jedi. I can only imagine what that fucking trailer smells like. I'm pretty sure it would smell like a corpse left in a dumpster in the middle of August. Getting back to what I said, though, about how Von Helton loves himself. I have no doubt of that. If you watch his videos now, even his live videos, they're upwards of 2 hours long. And all it is him just sitting there rambling, reading off the outside chat, stuffing his face, slapping his hands on his arms. That's just creepy. And bursting out into song. Even that's nothing new. I remember an old hangout that he made, which was almost 6 hours long, of him just doing that. And oddly enough, if you listen carefully, especially if you have headphones on, you can hear his children crying and screaming in the background. Doesn't even faze him. But I think that's why he even stopped doing live hangouts, because he wouldn't let anyone else in. Unless it was somebody like Brett Keane or Rand Campbell. Yeah, he would not send links out to anybody. Because he does not want the sound of his own voice covered up. Because Because if there is one thing that that man loves, is the sound of his own voice. I could only imagine what his voice sounds like in his head. I'd bet money that, as far as he's concerned, he sounds like Barry White. A bassy voice, smooth as velvet. And not that nasally, whiny voice that we all hear. Furthermore, I'm also willing to bet that the sound of his own voice probably gets his dick hard. Might be wrong on that one, but who cares? And yeah, I think there's a reason why he would let Brett Keane and Rand Campbell into his hangouts. I think it's the same reason that he associates himself with people like Brett Keane and people like G-Man and people like Rand Campbell and even people like Nick Bravo, which I don't even think he's on YouTube anymore. It's because he is compelled to surround himself with people who are just as toxic as he is. Brett Keane, I don't know a whole lot about the guy. I've never really listened to his shit outside the Drunken Peasants. G-Man, I don't even understand how that man can walk out of his fucking house. I'm pretty sure that guy is functionally illiterate. And for being a guy in his mid-40s, dude acts like he's 12. One of my guilty pleasures is there's another YouTuber out there that he is ripping that dude a new asshole. Shout out to Drag. But, yeah, like I said, when it comes to the idea of spinning information, you can't. Because that fucker's already been spun to Mach fucking 3. Like I said, it has gone to ludicrous speed. I think it's high time that, just Von Helton, hang it up, dude. Your attempts at YouTube and social media in general, they don't work. Because nobody wants to sit there and listen to a guy pushing 60 attempt to sound hip. And is it just me, or is there something incredibly pathetic about a man in his 50s that still uses the term pone? Is this fucking 2002? Because that's some World of Warcraft type shit. Yeah, I mean, what can you say about Von Helden that has not been said 1,000 times? But honestly, a part of me does not want him to leave the internet. I want him to stay on the internet forever. Because every second that he puts out content is a second that I laugh. But honestly, dude, get a goddamn job.